Hey everyone, welcome to this mini deep dive. We're going to be tackling some of the most common questions about hiring Apex developers. You know Salesforce is powerful, right? But what happens when you need to go beyond those standard features? Well, that's where Apex developers come in. They're the ones that can unlock those custom features and automations, the kind of stuff that really makes Salesforce work for you.
Exactly. It's all about making Salesforce fit your specific business needs.
So speaking of finding the perfect Apex developer, I got to point you to theperfectdeveloper.com. They've got this awesome 5 questions tool you can try out. Super quick and easy way to get matched with the ideal platform for finding your next Apex superstar. But let's get down to the basics here. When we say Apex developers, what are we really talking about? Like, what are these folks actually doing all day?
Well, they're writing code for sure, but it's not just about pounding away at the keyboard all day. They're more like the architects and builders of your customized Salesforce world. They create these things called triggers to automate all sorts of actions within Salesforce.
Okay, so give me an example of that.
Sure. Imagine you want to send a personalized welcome email the second a new lead pops up. An Apex developer can make that happen. They'll write a trigger that automatically kicks off that email.
That's pretty cool.
Right. And they can also build custom user interfaces, making sure Salesforce looks and feels just right for your business.
So they're kind of like the front-end and back-end developers all rolled into one.
Pretty much. And if you're thinking about connecting Salesforce to other systems you use, like say your accounting software or your marketing platform, Apex developers are the ones building those bridges using APIs.
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of tech jargon here. APIs, triggers. Can you break it down for me? Why is all this stuff so important for businesses that are using Salesforce?
Think about it this way. You've got tons of data flowing through your Salesforce system, but sometimes you need to do more with it than what Salesforce gives you right out of the box.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's where Apex developers come in. They help you manipulate that data, automate those processes, and ultimately create a much smoother, more personalized experience for your customers and your team.
Gotcha. So it sounds like they need a pretty specialized skill set. How's an Apex developer different from, say, a regular Java developer? I mean, they're both writing code, right?
True, they are both writing code, but it's different kinds of code. Think of Java as a Swiss Army knife. It can be used for a ton of different tasks.
Right.
Apex, though, it's more like a specialized tool designed specifically for the Salesforce environment.
Okay, so they're more like specialists.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that a lot of those core coding skills, they're transferable. You'll see Apex developers move on to become Java, Python developers all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm ready to hire an Apex developer. What are the must-have skills I should be looking for?
Well, first and foremost, you need someone who's comfortable with Apex.
Of course.
You want to see clean, efficient code that follows best practices. But it's not just about the code itself. It's about understanding how to work within the Salesforce ecosystem. So things like SOQL are crucial.
So cool.
Yeah, Salesforce Object Query Language. It's basically how developers talk to the Salesforce database. They use it to pull out specific data they need to build those custom features.
So like, show me all the customers who made a purchase last month.
Exactly. It's all about asking the right questions to get the information you need.
Makes sense. What else?
Well, experience with Salesforce APIs is a must, especially if you're planning to integrate Salesforce with other platforms.
Right.
And then bonus points for things like JavaScript, HTML, and CSS.
Oh yeah, those are important for building those user-friendly interfaces.
Exactly.
So it sounds like they need a pretty diverse skill set.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing all this talent doesn't come cheap. What kind of salary range should I be prepared for?
It really depends on their experience level and location. But a good resource to get a benchmark is theperfectdeveloper.com.
They always have the best data.
For someone just starting out, you're probably looking at around $70,000 to $90,000.
Okay.
But for senior level developers, it could be anywhere from $130,000 to $170,000 or more.
Wow, that's quite a range.
Oh.
So location plays a big part in those salary expectations.
Oh, absolutely. If you're hiring in a place like San Francisco or New York, be prepared to pay a premium.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But if you're open to remote work or hiring from regions with a lower cost of living, you might find some more competitive rates.
Makes sense.
And again, theperfectdeveloper.com can help you figure all that out.
They've got a ton of great resources to help you understand those salary expectations. So many things to consider. This is starting to feel a little overwhelming.
I hear ya. But honestly, that's why a resource like theperfectdeveloper.com can be so valuable.
Yeah, they can definitely help you cut through all the noise and figure out the best way to approach this. All right, so let's say I've got a few promising candidates. How do I actually know if they've got the skills they say they have? A resume only tells you so much, right?
Right. A resume is just the starting point. You want to go beyond those bullet points and really dig into their practical experience.
Like what?
Ask for a portfolio of their work. Look at the types of projects they've tackled and see if they've got experience solving those complex challenges.
But what should I be looking for in their code? I'll be honest, I'm not a developer myself.
You don't have to be a coding whiz to spot good code. Look for signs of structure, organization, clear documentation.
So like, does the code look well thought out and easy to follow?
Exactly. And ask them about their testing process. A good Apex developer will be able to explain how they make sure their code is reliable.
So it's not just about the technical skills, it's about how they approach the entire development process.
Absolutely. And don't forget those behavioral questions.
Right.
Ask about the challenges they've faced, how they solve problems, how they work with others.
Yeah, you want to get a feel for their personality and how they fit into the team.
It's about finding someone who's not just skilled, but also adaptable, a good communicator, and someone who's passionate about Salesforce.
Okay, that's some great advice. I think that's a good place to stop for now. We've covered a lot of ground already, but we still got more to explore. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more insights into hiring Apex developers.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back. We were just getting into some of the ways you can evaluate an Apex developer's skills. But before we dive back into that, I'm curious about the different ways you can actually bring an Apex developer onto your team.
Yeah, you've got options. You can hire someone full-time, bring them on as a contractor, work with freelancers, or even partner with an agency.
So many choices. How do you know which one's right for you?
It all comes down to your priorities. What are you looking for in an Apex developer?
Right.
If you've got long-term, ongoing Salesforce projects, a full-time developer might be your best bet.
Makes sense.
They become a core part of your team. Really understand your systems inside and out.
But what if I just need help with a specific project?
Then a contractor could be a good option. You get that specialized expertise for a set period of time. No long-term commitment.
So it's about finding that balance between commitment and flexibility. Now, what about location? Should I be looking to hire locally, or is it worth considering outsourcing?
Hiring locally definitely has its advantages, especially for communication and collaboration.
Right, being in the same time zone makes things easier.
Exactly. And often there's a better cultural fit.
But I imagine it can also be more expensive, especially if you're in one of those big tech hubs.
You're not wrong. That's where outsourcing can be appealing. You've got access to a global talent pool.
Wider range of options.
And you can potentially find more competitive rates.
Makes sense, but I've heard that managing remote teams can be tricky.
It can be, yeah. Time zone differences and language barriers can be challenging.
I can see that.
You might need to put a little more effort into project management and communication.
To keep things running smoothly.
Right.
So, no easy answers when it comes to choosing a hiring model.
I'd say it's more about weighing the different factors and figuring out what works best for your specific situation.
And this is where a resource like theperfectdeveloper.com can be a lifesaver.
Couldn't agree more. They can walk you through those different models, help you understand the pros and cons, and guide you towards the best solution for your needs.
It's like having a personal guide through the world of Apex development. Speaking of guidance, let's get back to evaluating those technical skills. We talked about portfolios and looking at their past projects. But how else can you really put those skills to the test?
Coding challenges are a great way to do that. There are platforms out there like HackerRank. They have pre-built tests specifically for Apex and other Salesforce skills.
So you give them a problem to solve and see how they approach it?
Exactly. And you can even tailor the challenges to the kind of work you do.
Smart.
If you're dealing with complex integrations, for example. Create a challenge that involves APIs and data mapping.
Makes them prove they can handle the real deal. I'm also a big believer in seeing how people think in real time. Any ways to get that kind of insight during the interview process?
For sure. Live coding sessions are great for that.
Live coding.
Yeah, you basically have the candidate code in front of you.
So I can watch them work through a problem.
You got it. See how they approach debugging, how they structure their code, how they communicate their ideas.
Even if I'm not a developer myself, I can get a feel for how they think.
Exactly. And again, you don't have to do this alone. Theperfectdeveloper.com can be super helpful here too.
They can help you design effective challenges.
Yeah. Recommend platforms for those live coding sessions. Offer insights into best practices for evaluating those skills.
It's like having a partner to guide you through all the technical stuff. All right, so let's say you've found your ideal candidate. They've aced the interviews and coding challenges. They've officially joined the team. How do you make sure they get off to a good start?
That's where onboarding comes in. It's more than just giving them a laptop and showing them their desk. You want to create a smooth transition into your team and your company culture.
Give them the support they need to succeed.
Exactly. Clear documentation, access to the right tools, a supportive team environment.
So they feel welcome and comfortable asking questions.
Right.
It's not just about the technical stuff. It's about making them feel like part of the team.
Absolutely.
And to make sure they stick around, what about things like mentorship or ongoing training?
Those are great ideas. Investing in their development keeps them engaged and motivated.
And it's an investment in your company's success.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, so we're back. And I gotta say, I'm feeling a lot more confident about this whole Apex developer thing now.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, we were just talking about onboarding, making sure those new developers hit the ground running. And more importantly, that they actually stick around.
You got it. Onboarding is key. It's an investment that pays off big time. You want to make sure they have everything they need, clear documentation, the right tools, a supportive team.
So they feel comfortable asking questions and all that?
Exactly.
It's not just about the technical skills, it's about making them feel like part of the team.
Couldn't agree more.
And to keep them engaged, what about things like mentorship or training?
Those are great ideas. It shows you're invested in their growth. And that can go a long way in keeping them motivated.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up this mini deep dive, I wanted to touch on one more thing. We've talked a lot about theperfectdeveloper.com, but I'm curious, how does their platform actually work?
Well, their 5 questions tool is a perfect example. It's all about simplifying the process.
Okay.
You answer 5 quick questions about your project: budget, timeline, technical needs.
Yeah.
Their algorithm does its magic, matches you with platforms that specialize in finding Apex developers.
So it's kind of like a matchmaking service for businesses and developers.
That's a great way to put it. No more guesswork. They point you right to the best talent.
And that's just one of the many resources they offer, right?
Oh yeah, they have tons of articles, guides, tools, all designed to help you navigate the hiring process.
Sounds like a pretty valuable resource. Well, I think that about covers it for our mini deep dive on hiring Apex developers.
It's been a good one.
We've explored what they do, how to find them, how to assess their skills, even how to set them up for success. I'm definitely feeling more prepared now. And for our listeners, don't forget to check out theperfectdeveloper.com. Try out their 5 questions tool. It's a great place to start. Finding the right Apex developer doesn't have to be a headache. With the right approach and the right resources, you can build a team that'll take your Salesforce game to the next level. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, keep learning and keep pushing those Salesforce boundaries.